This nighttime dashcam footage captures something utterly terrifying. Take a look. These soldiers were being pursued at the front by a heavy bomber drone in Dow Blast. It would be hard to see as is, of course, but even in the dark, its magnitude kind of made it obvious. Excellent aim, but this was really scary. In a situation like this, being pursued by a drone is terrifying. Just before dawn on February 23, 2025, a desperate call shattered the quiet of Burke County, Georgia. It was still early, not yet 6 a.m., when a frantic voice reached 911. The caller was crying uncontrollably, words breaking apart between sobs, barely able to form sentences. All dispatchers could clearly make out was fear, urgency, and repeated pleas for help. Deputies were immediately sent to a mobile home along 4 Points Road near the small community of Waynesboro. When they arrived only minutes later, the atmosphere outside was tense and silent, the kind of stillness that often signals something has gone terribly wrong. What they discovered inside would quickly become one of the most shocking incidents the area had seen in years. On the bedroom floor, officers found 30-year-old Tevin Osborne gravely injured and struggling to breathe. Standing nearby was his girlfriend, Hannah Cobb, barefoot, shaking, and visibly overwhelmed. Her hands trembled as she tried to explain what had happened, repeating over and over that it was not intentional. Body camera footage would later capture the full weight of the moment, the confusion, the urgency, and the emotional chaos unfolding inside that small room.
Got the sheriff's office.
Hey, come in.
Go.
I'm sorry.
Get her out of here. Hey,
Step out, step out.
One deputy immediately dropped to Osborne's side to begin emergency medical care, while others focused on stabilizing Hannah, who was in clear shock. Her speech was frantic and disorganized, and at one point she repeatedly referred to Tevin as her baby. That word initially alarmed officers, raising concern that a child might be involved or injured somewhere inside the home. But within moments, they realized she was using the term affectionately. Her 2 children were not present and were safe with her mother elsewhere.
just stand right there with him. Hey, hey, breathe for me, okay? Breathe. Breathe. Look at me. Breathe.
Yes, sir.
Breathe.
It's my baby, I shot him on accident. I didn't.
Through tears and short, uneven breaths, Hannah described what she said had happened. According to her account, she had been handling a firearm inside the bedroom, something she claimed was part of a routine she followed before going to sleep. She told deputies she was checking the weapon when she unintentionally pulled the trigger. In her panic, she explained that she had racked the slide while her finger was still positioned in a dangerous place. The discharge happened instantly. Her voice cracked repeatedly as she tried to explain. She insisted she loved Osborne and never intended to harm him. The shock of what had just occurred seemed to hit her in waves, each realization triggering fresh bursts of crying and repeated apologies. Deputies carefully moved her away from the bedroom so paramedics and officers could continue life-saving efforts without distraction. Outside, they worked to help her regain some control over her breathing. She was still barefoot in the cold morning air, so officers gently assisted her in finding clothing and shoes while keeping her calm. Their tone remained steady and deliberate, guiding her step by step through simple instructions meant to anchor her attention.
Hey, give me some pants right there, Johnson, for her. Step back up here. I don't want you going up.
Please.
Oh, yes, if I see
Please,
him,
I'll take the ones I was holding him.
Hey, breathe for me, okay?
Baby.
Okay. Just breathe for me, okay? Take a deep breath. Breathe. Breathe.
Meanwhile, inside the home, emergency responders continued fighting to stabilize Osborne. CPR and other medical interventions were underway as precious minutes slipped by. The scene inside the small mobile home was one of urgency and heartbreak, with responders working quietly but intensely to keep him alive. As Hannah sat with deputies, she continued to recount the same sequence of events again and again, as though trying to understand it herself. She explained that both she and Osborne kept firearms nearby while sleeping, usually on a dresser or nightstand. That morning, in what she described as a tragic mistake, she manipulated the weapon incorrectly while distracted or half awake. The result was instant and irreversible.
We went out tonight, and we got home home recently, and we were just checking my gun for when we got in, and I pulled it back, and the safety wasn't on. I didn't check it first. That was my fault, and I just looked at it and I pulled the trigger.
Throughout the interaction, deputies balanced two equally critical priorities: managing a life-threatening emergency and supporting someone experiencing overwhelming emotional trauma. Officers collected her identifying information calmly, verifying details like her date of birth while maintaining a reassuring presence. Every movement was measured, from helping her into warm clothing to guiding her into the back of a patrol vehicle where she could sit safely while the situation unfolded. Gradually, her breathing began to steady. Though her distress remained obvious, she continued apologizing repeatedly, her voice carrying the weight of the shock, guilt, and disbelief. For first responders, the morning highlighted the unpredictable nature of emergency calls involving firearms. What began as a routine welfare response quickly became a complex scene requiring both medical urgency and emotional sensitivity. Deputies and paramedics had to move swiftly, communicate clearly, and remain composed despite the intense emotional environment around them. The incident also became a powerful reminder how quickly everyday routines can turn catastrophic when safety precautions fail. The events of that morning unfolded in seconds, yet the consequences would last far longer for everyone involved. In the months that followed, the case would be discussed widely with the community, not only because of its tragic outcome, but because of how it illustrated the critical role a calm, disciplined response during high-stress situations. The professionalism displayed by emergency personnel, balancing compassion with efficiency, became a central part of how the incident was remembered. Captured by the Japanese ghost hunting duo Tomo and Hiro from the YouTube channel Oki Film, this investigation starts like a typical urban legend and then slowly turns into something that feels a lot harder to explain. They travel to Aoi, Japan to check out an old house locals avoid for one specific reason. People claim the place is haunted by the spirit of a young one who never left. Inside, the house already feels wrong. The air has this stale, closed-in heaviness, like the building has been holding its breath for years. As they move through the rooms, they notice details that don't fit, odd gaps in the layout, strange angles in the walls, until they stumble onto something neither of them expected: a concealed passage, a narrow corridor tucked out of sight like it was designed to be forgotten.
見てほら、通路。うわー。開けるよ。うわー、開けていいのかな。しょうがないね。まあ、行くしかない。ちょっと待って、なんかちょっと臭いかも。マジ？やばい、引っかかってる。うわ、どう？いや、わかる。確かに。変な部屋。何これ？何この空間？やば。あ、まだまだこれ。ああ。開けるよ。うわうわうわうわうわ。いや、何これ？病室じゃん。なんだこれ。ペットってことだよね、でもね。いや、おかしくない？まあ、何これ？確かに病院とかで病院じゃん、使ってるやつ。病室だよね。待って、子供部屋やん、ここ。マジ？子供部屋だよ。ああ。見て。ほら、あ、人形。
The hallway is tight, unlit, and unsettlingly deliberate, almost like someone wanted it hidden from casual eyes. It leads them deeper into the house and into a small room coated in dust and silence. The space looks less like storage and more like it once served a specific purpose: a sick room. The kind of place where someone stayed when they weren't getting better. The atmosphere feels heavier in here, thicker, like the temperature drops a few degrees the moment they cross the threshold. And this is where the first chilling detail happens, one they don't even realize in real time. As Tomo and Hiro step into the room, the camera catches something near a curtain. For a split second, a pale face peeks out from behind the fabric, partially blocked, like it's testing whether it's safe to look. Then it instantly slips back out of view. No sound, no movement from the investigators. They don't react because they never see it. The moment is gone, but the camera keeps rolling, quietly preserving what her eyes missed. After searching a bit longer, Hiro decides to take it a step further. He tells Tomo he wants to stay inside alone to see if anything will show itself when there's only one person in the house. He sets his phone up as a static camera in the other room, places it carefully and sits down and waits. Minutes drag into half an hour. The house settles around him. The walls creak like they're shifting under pressure. Shadows stretch and shrink with no obvious cause. A few strange noises break through the silence, but nothing clear enough to prove anything. Eventually, Hiro gets up to check his phone, only to find it on the floor. It's been knocked over. The recording has stopped early. The device is still warm, like it fell recently, but there's no clear explanation for why it went down. Later, when they review the footage, the mood changes completely. Right before the phone tips, a faint, ominous sound rises, like a low metallic ringing that doesn't belong in a quiet room. After that, Tomo and Hiro aren't debating anymore. They don't treat it like a rumor or a spooky story. They leave convinced the house isn't empty and whatever is inside it isn't just lingering. It's aware, it's watching, and it clearly didn't want them filming. What do you make of this? Let me know in the comments. I've never seen a person this oblivious and lucky simultaneously. Have you? Watch and be the judge. I have no idea what the BMW driver was thinking. He cuts across like the road belongs to him. No clear signal, no hesitation, just a sudden move that puts everyone around him at risk. At the same time, the other driver is flying in way too fast for that stretch, which turns a bad decision into near disaster. When you watch it back, you can see how tiny the margin was between a scare and a fatal impact. The wild part is the woman caught in the middle doesn't even realize how close it gets. One step, 1 second, one slight shift in timing, and she would have been hit. That's how these moments happen, not with warning, but with overlap. Two reckless choices collide and an innocent person almost pays for it. Honestly, there wasn't much she could have done differently besides reacting a fraction faster, and even that might not have been enough. In the early hours of Friday, August 7, 2015, what appeared to be an ordinary summer morning in a quiet apartment complex in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, slowly transformed into the beginning of a case that would deeply disturb both investigators and the public. The discovery did not come from a random patrol or a suspicious call. Instead, it began with a simple act of concern, one friend checking on another after something felt off. Heather Nicole Maples was only 22 years old at the time, standing at a point in life filled with promise and momentum. She had recently been accepted into university psychology program, an achievement she had worked toward for years. Those close to her described her as warm, compassionate, and deeply trusting. She was the kind of person who listened carefully, offered help without hesitation, and believed in seeing the good in others. Heather had relocated to Murfreesboro to work and save money while preparing for school. She lived in a modest apartment not far from her job and had formed a small but close network of coworkers and neighbors. Among them was Kelsey Price, who not only worked alongside Heather, but also lived nearby. The two often traveled to work together and maintained a routine that felt predictable and safe. On Thursday, August 6th, Heather went through her day like any other. During her shift, she mentioned to Kelsey that she planned to go out that evening. Before leaving work, she made a simple request. If she did not answer her phone the next morning, Kelsey should try calling again and, if needed, stop by her apartment to make sure she was awake and not running late. That night, Heather met friends at a local bar. Witnesses later recalled that she seemed relaxed and in good spirits. celebrating recent successes and enjoying time with people she trusted. At some point, however, she began to feel uneasy in the environment, seeking a way to leave safely. She contacted a man she had recently met through social media, identified publicly as Michael, asking for assistance. He agreed to help and met her that evening. After leaving the bar, the two stopped for food before he walked her back to her apartment complex. Around 12:15 a.m., he left her at her door in the rush of the evening. Heather had unknowingly allowed him to keep her apartment keys in his pocket. Fortunately, because she had left earlier without locking the door, she was still able to enter her home without difficulty. The following morning, Heather did not arrive at work. When Kelsey attempted to call her, the phone went straight to voicemail. Remembering their conversation from the previous day, she grew concerned and decided to check on her in person. When Kelsey arrived at Heather's apartment, she immediately noticed something unusual. The front door was slightly open. Calling out for her friend, she stepped inside, expecting perhaps to find her asleep or simply unaware at the time. Instead, moments later, she encountered a scene so shocking that she fled the apartment in panic and contacted emergency services. Police and paramedics arrived shortly after 9:30 a.m. Inside the apartment, they found no signs of forced entry and no evidence of theft. However, it was immediately clear that Heather had suffered fatal injuries inside her bedroom. Investigators secured the scene and began a meticulous forensic examination. Among the evidence collected was a single fingerprint that did not belong to Heather. At the same time, Michael arrived at the apartment to return the keys he had accidentally kept. Seeing police vehicles outside, he was visibly shaken. He cooperated fully, providing a voluntary DNA sample and recounting his movements the previous night. Security camera footage later confirmed his timeline, and when his prints did not match the one recovered inside the apartment, he was cleared. Detectives also investigated another individual from Heather's past, but eventually ruled him out as well. With no immediate suspect identified, investigators entered the unknown fingerprint and DNA profile into national databases. Approximately a week later, a match was returned. The fingerprint belonged to Brandon Richmond Bowling, a man Heather had met months earlier through social media and briefly spent time with. Detectives contacted him and requested an interview. During questioning, Brandon admitted he had previously been inside Heather's apartment, claiming any interactions between them had been consensual. He agreed to provide a DNA sample, but investigators noted that his demeanor appeared tense and uneasy. While awaiting laboratory results, investigators executed a search of his phone. What they discovered became the decisive turning point in this case. Stored within the device was a recorded video that documented the crime itself. Authorities later described the footage as deeply disturbing and confirmed that Heather had been unable to defend herself. The video alone established his responsibility. When DNA analysis was completed, the results matched him conclusively. Initially, Brandon entered a plea of not guilty. However, faced with overwhelming evidence, including forensic findings and the video recording, he later changed his plea. In February 2018, he pleaded guilty in court. During sentencing, the judge imposed a 55-year prison term with eligibility for parole only after 4 decades had been served. Heather was laid to rest later that same month in Texas, surrounded by hundreds of family members, friends, and community supporters who gathered to honor her life. During court proceedings, her mother spoke openly about choosing forgiveness, explaining that she refused to allow anger or hatred to define the rest of her life. Heather's case remains a stark reminder how trust can be tragically exploited and how modern investigations increasingly rely on digital evidence, surveillance systems, phone data, and forensic technology played a critical role in uncovering the truth, ensuring accountability, and bringing closure to a devastating loss that forever changed the lives of those who knew her. You occasionally fidget about a little when you're bored, or simply preoccupied with something. For instance, you might play with a card or a pen while on the phone. Although it's normal, you must use extreme caution. This clip demonstrates exactly why. Watch. This man ended up swallowing a battery because he was simply lost and unconscious. The battery exploded when it is ruptured, and that's what took place here. And he hurled it directly at the other person. Not on purpose, of course. But my word, given how quickly he threw it, I believe there's a decent probability he was hurt. It could have been far worse though. It's deep into the night when a lone investigator steps inside a long-forgotten house that most people in the area refuse to go near. The building has been empty for years, but not abandoned in the usual sense. Locals don't just say it's unsafe, they say it feels wrong. From the moment he crosses the threshold, he moves carefully, sweeping his camera through the darkness, pausing at every doorway like he expects something to step into view. The property carries a reputation that never faded. Neighbors claim the last known resident was an elderly man who lived there by himself for decades. No family, no tenants, just one person occupying a sprawling structure filled with rooms, odd collections, and objects no one could properly explain. Eventually, the man left to stay with relatives in his final years, and the house was sealed. That should have been the end of the story. Instead, that's when the sightings reportedly began. People living nearby have described shapes appearing at the second floor windows long after the house was vacated, dark outlines standing still behind the glass, then gone when looked at twice. Others have reported hearing distant laughter at night, not adult voices, but the sound of young ones playing somewhere inside a building that should be empty. Those stories are exactly why this investigator came here with a camera running. He wants proof, or maybe he wants to prove it's all nonsense. Within minutes, that confidence starts to break. While filming inside a cluttered room, something impossible happens. A small golden statue, sitting still moments before, suddenly lifts and drops in a direction that makes no physical sense. It doesn't slide, it doesn't tip, it moves upward and falls as if gravity briefly reversed. The man freezes mid-step. You can hear his breathing change. He replays what just happened in his mind and immediately starts searching for a logical cause. He checks the floor angle, looks for loose wires, airflow, vibrations, nothing explains it. The object should not have moved the way it did. Unsettled but committed, he continues upstairs. The staircase creaks under each step, echoing through the hollow interior. On the second floor, he decides to improve his courage and places his second camera pointed down toward the hallway to capture a wider angle while he explores nearby rooms. That decision turns out to matter because later, when reviewing the footage, viewers notice something he never saw live. For a moment, barely a handful of frames, a small figure-shaped shadow appears along the wall. It looks like a silhouette, leaning slightly as if peeking from the edge of the corridor. It does not move across frame, it does not enter or exit normally. It's simply there, then gone. So faint it's almost missed entirely. Commenters later pointed out that if he had noticed it in real time, he likely would have ended the investigation right there. The realization that something may have been standing just a few feet away without a sound deeply disturbed him afterward. The tension increases as he checks more rooms. Several doors upstairs are closed. Even though he believes the building was left open inside, the air feels heavier. His narration grows quieter. Then he approaches one particular door and slowly pushes it inward. At first, the room looks ordinary, dusty, empty, still. He steps inside to scan it, and the door violently slams shut behind him. The impact is loud and sudden. He spins and rushes back, grabbing the handle. It won't turn. The door feels locked from the inside. Panic enters his voice as he pulls harder. Then, without warning, the latch releases on its own. No visible mechanism, no hand, just a click, and it opens. He stumbles back into the hallway. In the scramble, his camera feed glitches and briefly cuts, but just before the signal breaks, one final detail is captured. The lens swings back toward the dark room he escaped. There, in the far shadows, stands a tall, dark shape, completely still, watching. No movement, no sound, just a presence where nothing should be. After reviewing everything, the investigator admits he cannot explain what he recorded. Not the object that moved, not the hallway silhouette, not the door, and not the figure in the room. Whatever shared that house with him that night stayed silent, but it did not stay hidden, and according to him, he has no intention of ever stepping inside again. Turkish riot police were in pursuit and on the way ran over a seemingly innocent woman who did not appear to be protesting. It was nice how 2 officers checked on her, but the damage had already been done at that point. Take a close look at this investigation footage recorded by Matt and a team of experienced paranormal researchers. The group includes Matt himself along with Joe Vital, Bill Cook, and Eric Connor, all veterans when it comes to exploring reportedly active locations. This time they enter one of the most infamous haunted properties in the United States, the Harrisville Farmhouse. Once known as the Arnold family farmhouse, built in 1736, the structure is more than just historically old. It's widely recognized as the real-world case that inspired The Conjuring. From the moment they step inside, the tone changes. Their voices lower, their movements slow. The building feels less like a place and more like a presence. The atmosphere inside is immediately oppressive. The silence doesn't feel empty, it feels occupied. Floors creak without pressure, air seems colder in certain rooms for no clear reason. The team remarks that the house feels aware, as if it reacts to being observed. Early in the documentary, they present archived footage captured by a former caretaker, John Huntington, who spent extended time inside the property alone. What he recorded still unsettles investigators today.
I hear you out there. Thought I saw him move a little bit. Holy. Scary.
In one clip, a dark shape crosses a hallway opening with speed and weight. It isn't a flicker or camera glitch. It has form and direction. There are no people nearby and nothing in the environment appears disturbed. The movement is too solid to be written off as shadow play. About a minute later in the same recording session, John is positioned on the lower level when a sound stops him mid-step. It isn't a knock, it isn't a footfall. It's something irregular and organic, a strange, uneven noise that doesn't match the structure of the house.
Bagging dens. I walked through a minute ago. So I thought I'd just grab my camera. There's a car going by. Hello? Goosebumps.
The camera catches his expression changing instantly. He knows the difference between old house sounds and something else. This was something else. As his recording continues, multiple disturbances happen in close succession.
I'm just gonna ask who was here with us, because this is crazy. Alright, you ready, guys? Oh, it's full. Okay, let me delete that one. Okay, recording now. Who is here with us? Did I just say? Did I just hear what I think I heard? I went slow, so it sounds funny. Oh, something's not happy, guys. Something is not happy.
Later, a fixed camera placed in an upstairs bedroom records another unexplained event. The room is still and unoccupied. Without warning, the door begins to move inward. Not a sudden swing, a slow, deliberate opening, like someone carefully entering without wanting to be heard. There is no draft, no visible cause, just motion where there should be none. When the focus returns to Matt and his team's overnight investigation, the activity continues. During a late-night sweep of a bedroom, they capture a moment that many people associate with classic hauntings until they see it happen live. A wooden rocking chair begins to move, not a wobble, not a vibration, a steady back and forth motion that continues long enough for everyone in the room to confirm no one is near it. The movement is smooth and rhythmic, as if occupied by an unseen sitter. About an hour deeper into the investigation, cameras are trained on a quiet section of floor near the attic axis. The area has been still the entire time. Then a small ball rolls across the boards from one side to the other. There is no slope, no contact. The motion is controlled, not random, like something nudged it with intent. The team goes silent when it happens. No one laughs, no one tries to explain it away in the moment. Whether someone believes in hauntings or not, locations like this tends to leave a psychological imprint on visitors. The Harrisville farmhouse has that reputation. Investigators often say the experience lingers long after they leave, in their thoughts, their sleep, their nerves. Many warn that some places are better observed from a distance, because what was captured here represents only a fraction of what reportedly occurs inside those walls. And according to the team behind this documentary, the unseen activity did not stop when the cameras did. This next moment is a pure edge-of-your-seat close call, the kind that turns routine into disaster in a split second. What you're about to see nearly ended in catastrophe, not just for the animals on the ground, but for everyone involved in the air as well.
Ay, mira, ven. Ay, puta, mira, ven. Mira, ven. Mira. Ay, señor.
Several horses break into the flight path at exactly the wrong time, crossing dangerously close to a moving aircraft. For a few heart-stopping seconds, everything lines up in the worst possible way. One of the horses actually passes beneath the wing, so close that even a slight difference in timing could have meant a direct strike. If that happens, There's almost no scenario where it ends well. An impact at that speed wouldn't just injure the animals, it could easily cripple the aircraft itself. A collision with a large animal during takeoff or landing can destroy control surfaces, damage the wing, or throw the plane off balance instantly. At low altitude, there is little room to recover. The margin for correction disappears almost immediately. You can see how fast it unfolds. No warning, no time to plan, just motion, instinct, and luck colliding at once. The other horses aren't far behind either, running straight into the danger zone. On the night of November 13, 2022, emergency responders in Bedfordshire, England, received a desperate call that immediately signaled something was terribly wrong. The voice on the line was panicked and struggling to explain what had happened, only repeating that several people were badly hurt in the road. Within minutes, police units and ambulances were speeding toward the location, unsure of exactly what they were about to encounter. When officers arrived, the scene was chaotic and deeply distressing. In the middle of the roadway, two men lay motionless, both suffering from severe injuries. Blood pooled around them, and it was clear they had been attacked violently. One of the victims had multiple stab wounds, each one evidence of a brutal confrontation that had unfolded just moments earlier. The other man was also critically injured, with deep wounds to his back and neck. Paramedics and officers moved quickly, working side by side under immense pressure. CPR was performed while others attempted to control bleeding and stabilize the victims for transport. The atmosphere was tense, filled with urgency as responders fought to keep both men alive long enough to reach a hospital. The victims were soon identified as 27-year-old Patrick Howard and 26-year-old Mason Jordan. Patrick's injuries were catastrophic. Despite the rapid response and the desperate efforts of those on scene, he could not be saved and was pronounced dead at the location. Mason, however, showed faint signs of life. Paramedics rushed him into an ambulance and transported him as quickly as possible, determined to give him a chance at survival. As officers began securing the area, another alarming discovery was made. A witness called out, directing police toward a darker section of the roadway just a short distance away. There, they found a third man lying still. He was identified as 39-year-old Adam Finelli. Unlike Mason, Adam had no signs of life, and it was clear he had died before emergency crews arrived. What had initially appeared to be a violent double assault had now become an even more devastating triple tragedy.
He was there with him trying to save them two. We didn't even know he was there.
You don't need to worry about that.
We didn't even know he was there. He's been on his own that whole time.
Detectives examining the scene quickly noticed additional details that made the situation even more disturbing. Tire marks cut through the area where the victims had been found, showing that a vehicle had been driven repeatedly across the roadway during or after the attack. This evidence indicated the violence had not been spontaneous. Instead, it suggested deliberate actions and a level of planning that heightened the severity of the crime. To understand how the situation escalated to such a deadly outcome, investigators retraced the victims' movements earlier that evening. Their search led them to the nearby Crown Pub, where the men had spent time just hours before the attack. Security footage from inside the establishment showed Patrick and Mason socializing, laughing, and appearing relaxed while enjoying their night with friends. However, the recordings also revealed a subtle shift when another man entered the pub. He was later identified as Nicholas Papworth. Although no immediate confrontation was visible, investigators observed a noticeable change in atmosphere. The group's interactions appeared more tense, and Mason was seen moving in and out of camera view while Patrick remained near the pool area. When the group eventually left the pub, exterior cameras captured what happened next. Patrick, Mason, and Adam were seen walking together along the street. Shortly afterward, two vehicles, a silver BMW and a black Volkswagen Golf, appeared in the footage following them. Witnesses later confirmed that the cars seemed to be tracking the group's movements. The situation escalated quickly. One individual exited a vehicle and attacked Patrick, inflicting fatal injuries to Adam and leaving Mason critically wounded. Moments later, another suspect returned to a car and drove directly toward Patrick, striking him. The sequence, captured clearly on surveillance cameras, provided investigators with crucial evidence of how the events unfolded. With a combination of CCTV footage, witness accounts, and forensic findings, detectives were able to begin identifying those responsible. One witness came forward and named a man known as Nick as the driver of one of the vehicles. This information, combined with the visual recordings, gave authorities their first clear direction in the case. Although the footage revealed painful details, it became essential in reconstructing the timeline and pursuing justice. It showed how an evening that began with friends enjoying time together escalated into a coordinated and devastating attack that would leave multiple families forever changed. This next series of clips was uploaded by a TikTok user known as Skateboard Chris, a creator whose posts slowly shift from casual home videos into something far more disturbing. Across multiple uploads, viewers watched his situation grow more intense, more chaotic, and harder to explain. According to Chris, everything started the day he and his cousin decided to experiment with a Ouija board. At first, it was treated like a joke, a curiosity, nothing more. They didn't expect results. They didn't expect a response, but after that night, the tone of his videos changes noticeably. In the first recording, Chris gives a brief explanation of what they did and admits he's starting to feel uneasy in his own home. He sets up his camera to document the strange activity he claims has started happening around him. The room looks normal, nothing appears out of place, but within seconds, faint sounds begin to register on the audio. Soft at first, irregular tapping, light scraping, and what might be whisper-like tones buried under the background noise.
I heard it, but I didn't see it. I still hear it. You can hear that, can't you? I can. Sound like tapping. Everybody's like, oh, it's the hutch. It's the hutch.
The sounds don't match his movements. They don't match the environment. They appear between his words like interruptions. Several viewers later enhanced the audio and claimed the phrase can be heard shortly after Chris mentions the tapping himself. A low voice that seems to say, "Get out." It's not clear. It could be audio distortion or pattern recognition filling in the gaps. But once pointed out, the moment is difficult to ignore. The uncertainty is what makes it unsettling. Then something visible happens. Without warning, the tripod holding part of his setup collapses and hits the floor. There is no visible contact, no shift in balance beforehand, just a sudden drop and a sharp crackle as it lands. Chris reacts instantly. The mood changes from curious to defensive. He scans the room, trying to find a cause, but finds nothing. In the second clip posted later, he explains he hasn't been able to sleep since the earlier events. He says the house feels different at night, louder, more active. To distract himself, he starts cleaning in the kitchen and sets up the camera again. This time, the disturbances escalate. The background noises return, but they're stronger. Heavier knocks, sharper sounds, something like movement in another room.
It's like the second time tonight.
Chris startles at one point and turns quickly towards something off camera. He tries to laugh it off, but the fear shows through. His voice tightens. His movements become cautious. He later adds context. Just before filming, he heard water running downstairs even though no one else was home. The shower, he says, was on by itself. He doesn't know for how long, he doesn't know why, but he suggests that whatever might be present seems to make itself known through sound and motion, especially around plumbing and reflective surfaces. The third video is the most tense. It's filmed late at night. Chris originally intended to go live but decided he was too exhausted. Instead, he records casually while talking to his dogs. The atmosphere is quiet until a violent crash breaks the silence somewhere inside the house. The dogs immediately react, barking toward the hallway. Chris spins toward the noise, clearly shaken. He leaves the camera frame to check. While he's off screen, the microphone captures faint movement, dragging sounds, a dull thump, and what could be something brushing along a wall. When he returns, he looks unsettled and unsure. He paces, listens, debates whether to investigate further or leave it alone. The clip ends without answers. No reveal, no resolution, just tension hanging in the silence after the noise. Viewers continue to debate what Chris experienced. Stress, suggestion, coincidence, all possible. But the pattern across the uploads is what keeps people watching. Activity begins only after the Ouija session. Disturbances grow stronger, not weaker, and Chris himself appears more drained with each recording. Whether it's psychological or paranormal, something clearly changed in that house, and whatever it is, it doesn't seem finished. In this video, we see the dangerous aftermath of a drunk driver heading the wrong way on a Milwaukee freeway. On New Year's Day 2026, 23-year-old Zachariah was spotted driving his Mercedes-Benz northbound in the southbound lanes of I-43. Initially, a sergeant tried to intercept him, but Zachariah continued his reckless path until he collided with a deputy's squad car. The footage shows the moment of impact and confusion that followed. Zachariah appeared to be completely unaware of the severity of the crash or the damage he caused to the law enforcement vehicle.
90 dispatch, or say 80 dispatch, wrong way driver northbound in the southbound lanes. I'm gonna flip around and try and catch up to her. It looks like a female driver, white, it's an SUV.
2017, that was northbound and the southbound.
Okay, man.
I'm northbound from work, copy.
Copy, who's your record?
I got it.
I copy.
Let's start looking.
Copy, they're on the phone.
490. You put me with it. It just hit me.
I copy.
I'm good. Southbound 43, just before North Avenue. Just north of North Avenue.
Copy, do you need medical?
I'm fine. Let me check on the driver. Are you okay?
I'm okay.
All right. Is anybody else in the car? 10-9 on the transmission. I'm talking with the driver. Driver's conscious and breathing. 10-9. It's about the vehicle.
When questioned, he admitted to drinking a lot and mentioned he was coming from a strip club. He was so intoxicated that he eventually threw up inside one of the patrol cars during his arrest. I feel terrible for the deputy whose vehicle was smashed while trying to keep other drivers safe. It's frightening how a single person's decision to drive while impaired can put so many lives at risk on a holiday night.
Come here. I'm okay. Here. Just lean back. You have a license on you?
Huh?
You have a license on you? Do you have a license?
Zachariah.
That's your name?
Zachariah.
Okay.
Can I call my dad?
Not yet.
Okay.
2017, I have lane 1 closed.
211, which way?
You know where you're at?
Huh?
You know where you're at? Do you know where you're at? Come here. Do you know where you're at?
Milwaukee.
Okay. Do you know what you're doing right now?
I live
Okay, you understand you're driving on the wrong side of the freeway, right?
freeway, yeah. I know that I'm on the freeway somewhere.
All right, here, come on, let's get you back on the squad.
Okay.
You can relax, just put your hands down. Oh, he is stoned.
Sorry.
No, you're good. All right, you got anything on you besides your keys?
No.
All right.
That's probably
Okay.
Okay.
other stuff.
All right, go and hop in. All right. I'm good.
How fast?
About like
20?
15, 20, yeah. I hit the air horn, try to get him slow down.
Along with the alcohol, deputies found marijuana scattered throughout his car, adding to the list of his poor choices that evening.
Oh, there's a mug. Cell phone. Wallet. Ah, shut up.
I stopped here, I hit my air horn, I tried to get him stopped, I tried to get in front of him just in case. He could have killed somebody.
Well, I got a squad cam of it, so I mean, it's not like we don't know where he got on.
Alright, so he's not the victim at least. He's not hurt, right?
No, he's not hurt. Just smashed the squad. Jeff's gonna be that's gonna be a lot of work to fix that. That whole front fender, that quarter panel, whatever on the side, it's smashed. Nothing you can do about it. I mean, kind of unavoidable on your part. All right, well, I'm gonna go sit down on MI.
I was good? Yeah, I was good. I was already stopped. Just wait for it.
Hey, 32 dispatch. Copy. 29. Copy. Corrections monitoring system. Subject Malcolm Rogers is in violation. They're in investigation.
Guys, don't let him take it yet until we get the crash report. Go on, Chris. Wrong-way driver.
Get out of here.
He actually almost hit me first. I was up by Highland, and I was getting ready to exit by Highland, and he came flying right at my squad. So I tried to get him to stop, but then he went around me. Hell,
We're gonna do the investigation. Regis is gonna go get checked out.
Can you belt him? I don't think Rita's dead. Hey man. I need to get the pastor quick. I need to seatbelt you. Are we good or no?
What was that?
Are we good or no?
Yeah.
Out of the Auto Wisconsin, Boy Charles Lincoln 55.
Hey, boss. He puked. Just a heads up. What happened? What happened tonight, boss? Where are you coming from tonight? What was that? Where are you coming from? Are you willing to do fields tonight? Test to make sure that you're okay to drive? Are you gonna talk to me at all?
No. Yes.
Where were you coming from tonight? What's that wristband from? Are you willing to do some tests tonight? You want to do some tests tonight, or are you good?
Excuse me.
Are you able to hop out of the truck for me? Oh, let's take the seatbelt off. Sorry. Hop on out. There you go. Easy. Let's go back to that black car right over there, okay? What happened tonight? Can you tell me where you were coming from? How much do we have to drink tonight? A lot? How much is a lot? Where'd you get that wristband from?
The wristband I got from 12.
Where were you driving tonight? Where were you headed to? It's okay if you can't remember.
12.
Okay, where were you going?
Strip club.
Zachariah was ultimately charged with felony, recklessly endangering safety, and operating while intoxicated. He also faced several $100s in fines and was released on a cash bond with strict sobriety conditions. This story is a somber reminder why you should never get behind the wheel if you have been drinking. Always have a designated driver or use a ride-sharing app after a night of partying. If you see a wrong-way driver, pull over to the shoulder immediately and call 911. Never assume you are okay to drive just because you feel fine after drinking. Pay close attention to freeway entrance and exit signs to avoid going the wrong way. How do you think we can better prevent wrong-way driving incidents on our highways? Do you believe the penalties for a second OWI offense should be more severe to deter repeat offenders? I never liked the idea how a celebration can turn into a life-altering tragedy because of a lack of responsibility. Initially, the footage looks completely ordinary. A nighttime view of a forest clearing fills the frame, dark trees, uneven ground, and the kind of silence you expect from deep woods after sundown. Nothing appears out of place. No movement, no sound beyond faint ambient noise. It feels like just another low-light outdoor recording. But within seconds, that calm atmosphere breaks in a way that's hard to rationalize. Near the center of the frame, one tree begins to move. Not a slight rustle or a gentle bend, but repeated, deliberate motion. The trunk shifts back and forth in a steady rhythm, continuing for the entire clip. What makes it disturbing is a lack of any visible cause. There's no sign of wind, no leaves fluttering on nearby branches. The surrounding trees remain perfectly still, like they're frozen in place. Only that one tree moves. Isolated, consistent, wrong. As the camera keeps rolling, the background reveals something even more unsettling. Shapes appear deeper between the trees. At first, they resemble animals, possibly primates, but their outlines don't match normal proportions. Their limbs look too long compared to their bodies, their posture too controlled. They don't scramble or dart like typical wildlife. They reposition slowly, with intention, as if aware they're being observed. Then comes the moment that shifts the entire tone of the clip. One of the figures rises onto two legs and stays there. It doesn't drop back down. It stands upright and begins to walk forward step by step. The movement is stiff and mechanical, almost like a poor imitation of human walking. No natural sway, no animal pacing pattern, just a forward, balanced stride that feels deeply unnatural against the forest backdrop. Viewers have argued over every frame. Some claim camera illusion, others suggest costume figures or edited overlays. A few believe it shows unknown wildlife behavior caught under unusual lighting, but no single explanation fully accounts for all the details. The isolated tree movement, the synchronized background figures, the upright walk. Whatever the truth is, the clip leaves a lingering discomfort. The forest doesn't feel empty. It feels occupied, and whatever was moving in that darkness did not behave like anything people expect to find in the wild. This footage comes from Minden East train station in New York, and at first glance it looks like a heated confrontation unfolding near the platform. People appear tense, movements are fast and uncoordinated. It seems like a simple altercation until you realize there's a much more dangerous layer to what's happening.
Y el tren viene ahora, cabrón, el tren viene ahora.
A police officer is actively pursuing a suspect during an operation when the situation suddenly spirals out of control. The individual being chased drops down onto the tracks, creating an immediate life-threatening scenario. Bystanders nearby react too slowly to prevent it, and in that split second, the risk level multiplies. Open tracks, limited escape routes, no time to hesitate. The officer makes a split-second decision and jumps down after him, not recklessly, but because he has no other choice. If he doesn't act, the person on the tracks is trapped in a kill zone, and the worst part is already in motion. A train is approaching. You can feel the urgency and how fast everything escalates. Shouts, sudden movement, people backing away from the platform edge. From the camera's angle, it almost looks like both men are about to be struck. The timing is so tight that for a moment it seems unavoidable, like impact is seconds away. This is the kind of scenario first responders dread. Trains cannot stop quickly, conductors have limited visibility and even less braking distance. Once that mass is moving through the corridor, there is no instant correction. Anyone on the tracks is in extreme danger. At the very last moment, both the officer and the suspect clear the rails and get back toward the platform edge. It's messy, rushed, and far too close. But they make it. No contact, no strike, just a narrow escape measured in seconds. Watching it back, it's one of those incidents where the outcome feels almost unreal compared to how it looked mid-event. A pursuit turns into a near-fatal track emergency, and what should have ended in tragedy instead ends in survival, barely. Kimberly described an encounter that completely rattled her, the kind of moment that turns an ordinary night into something you replay over and over in your head. It happened around 1:30 in the morning. She couldn't sleep, and after lying awake for a while, she decided to get up and get something to eat. The house was still in quiet, the heavy silence you only notice in the middle of the night. Her boyfriend was asleep in his room. Her roommate, Jackie, was also asleep. No guests, no background noise, nothing on. She walks into the kitchen, tired and confused, thinking only about grabbing a quick snack and heading back to bed. Then it happens.
Oh, Jesus.
Jackie? Hi. Okay, I'm gonna go back to bed.
From directly behind her, clear and close, a woman's voice says a single word, hi. Not muffled, not distant, not electronic, right behind her at normal speaking volume, like someone standing in the doorway trying to get her attention. Kimberly instantly flinches and turns around, expecting to see Jackie in the hall or stepping into the kitchen, but there's no one there. The doorway is empty. The hall is dark. No footsteps, no retreating movement, just silence again. What makes the moment more unsettling is what didn't happen next. Kimberly has two small dogs, both normally hyper aware of any kitchen activity, especially late night food. She says they usually come running the second they hear a wrapper or cupboard door. This time, they didn't come at all. When she checked on them, they were awake but tense, watchful, and unusually nervous. Not excited, not curious, just on edge, like they were aware of something she couldn't see. She immediately checked the obvious explanations. Jackie was still asleep and hadn't left her room. Her boyfriend hadn't gotten up. There were no voice assistants in the home, no smart speakers, no phone prompts, no devices that could randomly produce a greeting. No television noise, no open windows with neighbors outside. The voice had been inside the house, close and directed at her. Later, when she recounts the story on camera, her expression says more than her words. There is no joking tone, no exaggerated performance, just lingering shock, the kind that sticks in your posture and your eyes. She repeats the detail that bothers her most. It sounded personal, like it knew she was there. Experiences like this are easy to question from a distance. Audio confusion, sleep deprivation, imagination filling gaps. But when a voice speaks in an empty hallway, and even the animals react, it becomes much harder to brush aside. Some moments don't scream, they whisper once, and that's enough. Some jobs look unusual on camera, but they carry very real danger behind the scenes. In this clip, a team of geologists is deliberately altering a rock deposit as part of a controlled study. The goal is to observe how the formation reacts under specific stress conditions and gather data from the break pattern. It sounds technical and routine, but the risk is built into the process. You can see right away that this isn't guesswork. The crew is positioned carefully, communicating, watching the fracture lines, and preparing for movement. They know exactly what should happen, but natural rock doesn't always follow predictions. When the shift starts, it spreads faster and wider than expected, sending debris farther than their safety margin allowed for. For a brief moment, the calculation is almost wrong. That's what makes this kind of fieldwork so dangerous. Even with training, instruments, and experience, nature can still surprise you. Rock weight, internal cracks, and pressure points don't always reveal themselves until the break begins. This is why teams, not individuals, handle this work, with spotters, spacing, and exit paths planned in advance. It's a sharp reminder that even scientific investigation can turn hazardous in seconds, and precision isn't just about data, it's about getting everyone out safely. In the next clip, a small local band gathers on stage for what they say will be their final performance together. The mood at first feels warm and genuine. Before they play a single note, the members pause to speak to the crowd. They talk about how they met, how the group started, and how much the music and the audience has meant to them over the years. You can hear emotion in their voices. This isn't just another gig, it's a goodbye. It becomes clear that the night isn't meant to be a send-off, a closing chapter. Friends and supporters fill the room, smiling, cheering, recording on their phones. There's laughter between stories, a few sentimental moments, and the kind of energy you only get when people know something is ending. Nothing about the setting suggests danger. Nothing hints that what's about to be captured will overshadow the entire event. The band begins to play, the camera operator slowly sweeps across the space, showing the crowd, the lights, the equipment, the back wall of the venue. It's during one of these casual pans that something strange enters the frame, unnoticed in real time.
Pues ya se deshizo el grupo, se mantuvieron un tiempo, pero no se pudo después. Y ya, pues ahorita me llegaron con esto de que casi que la última tocada.
Behind a television set mounted near the wall, a figure is visible for a brief stretch of footage. At normal speed, it's easy to miss. It looks like a shadow at first, but when viewers later review and slow the video, the shape resolves into something far more defined. It appears to be a human-like face, an upper body positioned in a narrow gap between the back of the TV and the wall. That space is extremely tight, far too tight for an adult to stand in comfortably, let alone remain perfectly still. Yet the figure appears fixed there, unmoving, partially obscured obscured by shadow. What makes the moment more disturbing is continuity. Earlier shots at the same angle show nothing behind the television. No person, no movement, no shape. Then suddenly it's there. People who've analyzed the clip point to several unsettling details. The unnatural stillness, the pale tone of the face, and the way it seems to be angled toward the room rather than toward the wall. It doesn't behave like someone hiding or crouching. It looks posed, watching. Some skeptics argue it could be a staged prank or a cleverly positioned attendee trying to startle viewers. Others counter that there isn't enough physical room for that explanation to work. No one in the crowd reacts, and none of the band members acknowledge anyone standing there. The group never released a follow-up statement addressing what appears in the footage. No behind-the-scenes explanation, no confirmation. The moment remains unresolved. What was meant to be remembered as a heartfelt final show is now mostly remembered for a single background detail, a silent figure where no one should have been, turning a farewell performance into something far more unsettling. On the evening of July 22, 2018, surveillance cameras inside the MacArthur BART station in Oakland, California, recorded what initially appeared to be an ordinary summer night. Commuters moved through the station in steady waves, some hurrying to catch trains, others scrolling through their phones or chatting quietly as they waited. Nothing in those routine moments hinted that the platform was about to become the site of a tragedy that would deeply shake the Bay Area and draw national attention. Among the passengers that night were three sisters, 18-year-old Naya Wilson, her older sister Latifah, and their sibling Tashia. They had just returned from visiting relatives in Concord and stepped off the train in relaxed spirits. It was warm, and like many young people heading home after a pleasant outing, they were laughing and talking together as they prepared to transfer to another train. Unnoticed by them, another figure had entered the station. 27-year-old John Lee Cowell moved through the crowd, initially blending in with other commuters. Surveillance footage later revealed that he began following the sisters almost immediately after spotting them. He stayed close enough to track their movements, yet far enough back to avoid drawing attention. As the sisters walked along the platform, the cameras captured Cowell trailing behind them. For several minutes, he remained within view of the recording systems, adjusting his pace as they moved. Then without warning, the calm atmosphere shattered. Cowell suddenly rushed forward and produced a large knife. He attacked Naya first, inflicting a devastating wound in a matter of seconds. Latifah was also struck during the assault, suffering serious injuries that required urgent medical care but were not ultimately fatal. Tashia, though not physically harmed, witnessed the horrifying event unfolding just steps away, powerless to stop it. The station cameras recorded not only the attack, but also the deliberate manner in which Cowell carried it out. Immediately after the assault, he fled the platform. Footage showed him exiting through an emergency pathway and making his way into a nearby parking area. There, he changed his clothing and discarded his backpack, actions investigators later described as a clear attempt to avoid identification and destroy evidence. Within minutes, emergency responders arrived at the station. Paramedics worked urgently to save Naya, but her injuries were too severe. She was pronounced dead shortly afterward. Latifah was transported to a hospital where she underwent treatment and later provided a detailed account of what had happened. Tashia, though physically unharmed, was left to cope with the emotional trauma of witnessing her sister's violent death. As detectives began their investigation, the surveillance footage quickly became central to understanding the sequence of events. The recordings clearly show that Cowell had followed the sisters through the station before attacking them, contradicting any suggestion that the violence had been random or spontaneous. Instead, the video demonstrated a calculated pattern of behavior. Authorities circulated images taken from the footage, and community members soon provided tips that helped confirm Cowell's identity. Investigators also learned he had recently been released on parole after serving time for previous offenses. Using surveillance data, transit records, and information from the public, law enforcement tracked his movements across the Bay Area. Less than 24 hours after the attack, officers located him at another transit station in Pleasant Hill. He was taken into custody without resistance, appearing calm despite the brutality captured on video. Cowell was charged with multiple crimes, including first-degree murder, assault with a deadly weapon, and violation of parole. Prosecutors also added a special legal enhancement for lying in wait, a classification applied when someone deliberately observes or stalks a victim before committing a crime. crime. As the case moved forward, it drew widespread media attention, particularly regarding the role of surveillance technology in both documenting the attack and enabling investigators to apprehend the suspect quickly. Court proceedings later revealed that Cowell had a documented history of mental health challenges, including schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, which became a central element of his defense. The events of that night left a lasting impact on the community. What had begun as an ordinary evening for commuters and families alike became a stark reminder how quickly normal routines can be shattered by sudden violence. At the same time, the case demonstrated the importance of coordinated investigation, public cooperation, and modern technology in pursuing accountability. Though the footage captured a deeply tragic moment, it also recorded the swift response of emergency personnel, the resilience of the survivors, and the determination of investigators to bring clarity to a devastating crime. This security camera clip comes out of Thailand's Kanchanaburi province, recorded in January 2026, and at first it looks completely ordinary. A quiet roadside stall, light traffic, nothing that suggests danger. If you're watching casually, your eyes stay on the stand and the people nearby. And that's exactly why what happens next catches everyone off guard. A sedan suddenly loses control as it passes through the frame. There's no obvious racing, no aggressive lane changes, no warning signs leading up to it. The vehicle drifts, overcorrects, and then snaps off course. Within seconds, it leaves the roadway and crashes down into the river beside the stall. The whole sequence happens so fast that most people nearby don't even react until it's already over. What makes this moment especially tense is how close it is to pedestrians and vendors. If the angle had been slightly different, even a few feet, the car could have plowed directly into the roadside setup. Multiple bystanders would have been in the impact zone with no time to move. Instead, the vehicle misses them by a narrow margin and goes straight over the edge. Reports indicate there were 3 men inside the sedan. Thankfully, this appears to have been a freak loss of control incident rather than reckless speed. That detail matters because higher velocity would have multiplied the damage. Harder impact, less escape time, and a far greater chance of injury to everyone around. Even more remarkable, all 3 occupants managed to get out before the situation turns fatal. No fire, no submersion tragedy, no secondary collision. Just a violent mistake followed by a lucky outcome. It's one of those clips that looks routine for the first few seconds, then instantly becomes a near disaster. A reminder that on open roads, danger doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it just arrives mid-frame. This next piece of footage surfaced on the popular Ghosts subreddit and quickly turned into one of the most debated clips in the community. Viewers began arguing almost immediately, some convinced it captured genuine paranormal activity, others searching for any technical explanation that could disprove it. The video was recorded inside Edinburgh Manor in Iowa, a location already known among investigators for its long and settling reputation. Edinburgh Manor isn't just an abandoned building with rumors attached to it. It carries a layered history that many believe contributes to the reports surrounding it today. Over the decades, the property served multiple roles. It began as a county support farm, later functioned as a care facility for the mentally ill, and eventually became a residential home for the elderly. Across those years, many residents passed away there, often with minimal documentation and little family connection. Stories of unexplained activity have surrounded the site ever since. The person who uploaded the clip explained that he had explored the manor several times before and, until this visit, had never captured anything convincing. No voices, no apparitions, nothing beyond normal building noise. That changed on what he describes as his second night of a more controlled investigation. Instead of walking the halls with a handheld camera, he decided to run a passive overnight setup. He installed multiple security-style cameras throughout the structure, fixed positions, continuous recording, no on-site crew, and then left for the property entirely to sleep at home. The idea was simple: remove the human presence and see what happens. Hours into the empty overnight recording, the silence breaks. Without warning, audio erupts across multiple camera feeds at nearly the same time. The sound is not a single voice, it's layered, overlapping cries, shouts, or speech-like tones that echo through the halls. Some are distant, some feel close to the microphones, but none match the acoustics of wind, animals, or mechanical noise. It resembles a burst of distressed voices inside a building that should have been completely empty. The uploader stated that when he first reviewed the footage, he assumed equipment malfunctioned, but the timestamps lined up across devices. The sound registered on more than one camera in different areas of the manor. That detail is what unsettled viewers most. Multiple points of capture, same unexplained outburst. To understand why this clip struck such a nerve, it helps to know how investigators already view the property. Edinburgh Manor has long been considered one of the most active, haunted locations in the region. Visitors frequently report disembodied voices, footsteps on empty floors, sudden cold pockets, and electronic voice phenomena during recording sessions. Some research groups even claim certain floors produce distinct types of activity, as if different presences occupy different sections. Today, the manor operates as a historical site that offers guided tours and overnight investigations for those willing to spend time inside. That access has produced many stories, but very few recordings as widely argued as this one. No confirmed hoax method has been demonstrated for the clip. No verified audio contamination source has been identified. Just a time-stamped moment where a silent building suddenly sounded occupied. Whether it was environmental, technical, or something far stranger, one fact remains: whatever made those voices did so in an empty place, long after everyone had gone. On the night of November 7, 2025, just before 10:30 p.m., deputies with the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office were dispatched to a home in southwest Albuquerque following urgent reports of gunfire. The call came in with little detail, only that shots had been heard and there was fear someone inside might be hurt. What deputies encountered when they arrived would quickly become one of the most disturbing scenes many of them had faced. As officers approached the residence, they remained alert, expecting uncertainty and possible danger. When the front door opened, they were met by 25-year-old Alexis Najura Hernandez. He stood just inside the entryway, tense but strangely composed. A handgun rested at his waist and a large sword hung at his side. His expression appeared detached, and his voice was calm in a way that immediately unsettled the deputies. He began speaking before they could ask many questions, repeating the same phrase over and over: "I did my part." His tone suggested he was trying to convince himself as much as the officers listening. Then, with chilling clarity, he told them there were 2 bodies inside the house. The deputies instantly understood how volatile the situation was. Every movement had to be controlled, every command delivered carefully to prevent the encounter from escalating further. One officer calmly instructed Hernandez to place his sword on the ground. He complied slowly, lowering it to the floor without resistance. Officers continued giving measured instructions, guiding him step by step to keep his hands visible and move toward them cautiously. They directed him to walk backward at certain points to maintain distance, ensuring he posed no immediate threat. Hernandez followed each instruction, his compliance playing a critical role in allowing deputies to secure the scene safely. Once Hernandez was detained, officers entered the residence to assess what he had described. Inside, the reality matched his words. In the hallway, they found an adult male who had been fatally shot. The discovery confirmed the seriousness of the situation and heightened the urgency for a thorough sweep of the home. 2 young children were also inside. Miraculously, they had not been physically harmed. Deputies moved quickly to escort them out, shielding them from the traumatic scene and guiding them to safety away from the chaos. Other adults present were detained methodically as officers worked room by room to ensure there were no additional threats. Throughout the process, Hernandez continued speaking about his actions, making repeated references to military-like language, saying he had done what he believed he needed to do. His statements added to the surreal atmosphere, suggesting a state of mind shaped by intense fear and confusion. The deputies maintained strict professionalism despite the emotional weight of the scene. They communicated constantly with dispatch, collected weapons found inside, and secured each area carefully. Their focus remained on preventing further harm while stabilizing the situation. Later that night, Hernandez was transported to a sheriff's substation where he was advised of his rights and agreed to speak with detectives. During questioning, he described feeling overwhelmed by fear and panic. He insisted he had not been under the influence of drugs or alcohol, explaining instead that he had experienced a sudden emotional breakdown that led him to act without thinking clearly. His repeated explanations revealed someone struggling to process what had occurred. He admitted he had never encountered anything like the situation that unfolded and appeared deeply distressed as he attempted to justify his actions.
Have you done any drugs today? Have you drank any alcohol? No? Since we brought you down here, I don't know, do you watch movies, like cop movies at all?
I haven't read any.
Back at the residence, deputies continued coordinating their response. They documented evidence, secured the scene, and maintained a careful presence to support family members and neighbors gathering outside. The tension remained high, but their calm, methodical approach prevented additional tragedy. By the early morning hours, the scene was fully secured. Investigators began reconstructing the timeline of events, working to understand how a single moment of fear escalated into fatal violence. The case underscored the unpredictable nature of crisis situations where split-second decisions can have irreversible consequences. For the community, the incident left a profound emotional impact. Neighbors were confronted with the reality that an ordinary evening could suddenly turn into a life-altering event. For the responding deputies, it was another reminder of the immense responsibility carried by those who arrive at the most volatile moments in people's lives. While the night ended in tragedy, it also demonstrated the importance of disciplined response under extreme pressure. The deputies' steady commands, careful movements, and coordinated efforts ensured the safety of the children and prevented further loss of life. The events of that evening stand as a sobering example of how quickly panic can spiral into irreversible consequences, and how critical, calm professional action can be in restoring control when every second matters. Here's some insane police dashcam footage captured on January 31st, 2026.
In a 70, what's the reason for that? 10-4, EMS is on scene. Jeez.
Given the potential for what could have been displayed, this was more ordinary given that it was an officer's body camera film. Or perhaps I've simply witnessed far too many of these instances where careless drivers collide with vehicles that are stopped at the shoulder. The following footage was reportedly recorded inside a hospital building in Manzano, Mexico. According to the original uploader, it wasn't meant to be a ghost hunt or a staged scare video. It began as a simple walkthrough, a late-night recording inside what looks like a functioning but unusually quiet medical facility. Fluorescent lights hum overhead, corridors stretch out in long, empty lines. Doors are closed, no staff are visible, no patients pass by. The calmness feels normal at first, the kind of stillness you might expect during the slowest hours before dawn. The person filming moves at a relaxed pace, turning corners, peeking into rooms, briefly scanning interiors before moving on. Nothing jumps out as threatening, no strange sounds, no sudden movements. The camera work is steady and casual, which makes what happens later even more unsettling. There is no dramatic buildup, no warning cue in the audio, just a gradual shift from ordinary to disturbing in a single overlooked detail. At one point, the uploader steps into a room, pauses for a moment as if checking whether anyone is inside, then turns back into the hallway and continues forward. The exploration continues without reaction, but when he enters a particular corridor, something appears in the frame that he clearly did not see in real time. Along the right edge of the screen, partially concealed by the wall corner, a face slowly becomes visible. It does not lean out in a normal way. It doesn't peek and pull back. It's simply there, already positioned, already watching. The features appear pale and flattened by the low light, but still distinct enough to register as a face-like form. The eyes are dark, the expression unreadable. There is no blink, no shift, no natural adjustment that you would expect from a person hiding around a corner. Most viewers miss it on the first watch. It blends into the shadow and structure. Only when the footage is paused or replayed does the shape stand out clearly enough to trigger alarm. The uploader continues walking, completely unaware there, never acknowledging any presence behind him. There is no reaction in his voice, no sudden turn, no comment in the description afterward, just silence on the matter. No verified explanation has been attached to the clip. No identified person stepped forward. No editing artifacts were confirmed. It remains one of those moments where the fear comes not from motion, but from stillness. A motionless watcher in a place that should have been empty. And sometimes, what doesn't move is far more frightening than what does. In September 2018, a YouTuber named Colin, known for his urban exploration channel The Bearded Explorer, documented one of his most unsettling investigations to date. His destination was Westbury House, an abandoned 18th century mansion tucked away in Hampshire, England. Once a grand private estate, the building had later been repurposed as a nursing home during the 1980s. But behind its elegant facade lay a far more disturbing history. Reports of abuse and serious mistreatment by staff eventually led to the facility's permanent closure in 2016. Since then, the mansion had stood empty, earning a growing reputation as one of the most haunted places in the region. Colin, joined by his friend Liv, arrived at the property late at night. Their goal, as with many other videos, was to capture the eerie atmosphere and see what, if anything, lingered inside. The interior was what you'd expect from a long-abandoned estate: scattered furniture, piles of debris, and clear signs that squatters had once taken shelter there. Still, for a building left to decay, its bones remained surprisingly intact. The early part of their exploration was quiet, almost routine, as they moved carefully through the empty corridors. But before long, something shifted and the night took a darker turn.
How's it going, guys? And welcome back to Westbury House. And me and Liv decided to come here at night time because I told them all the interesting things that happened to me here the other day. We've decided to come here at night and just see if we can catch anything strange, paranormal. I'm not really the biggest believer in ghosts, but after my experience here the other day, it's left me with an open mind. So, yeah, we've just come here to have a little wander around and just see if by chance we do see or catch anything on camera. Should we go upstairs first?
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive, this staircase, isn't it?
Yeah.
Little chandelier up here as well, that.
Brilliant.
Which way should we go? God. This is proper freaky. Let's go this way. That door there's locked, so we can't go any further now. We'll have to go up and over. I never noticed that last time.
While exploring one of the rooms, Colin and Liv were startled by the unmistakable sound of a xylophone being played, despite neither of them having touched it. When they first entered the room, the xylophone had been sitting untouched on a table. Liv had struck a note earlier, then left the mallet placed neatly in the center, but now it had been moved, shifted to a different position. With no clear explanation, it was a small but undeniable sign that something or someone had interacted with it while they were gone. Uneasy but curious, they continued exploring. As they reached the upper floor, the tension thickened. Unexplained noises echoed through the mansion, soft knocks, distant thumps, and the faint sound of movement coming from rooms they hadn't entered. They still hadn't seen anyone, but the building felt alive with something unseen.
Shh! Did you hear that?
Where is I?
Sounded like that fucking xylophone. Where was it? Right, just in this room here. Oh, I'll open it. It's a snooker table and a huge bookcase. God, it's so much different in here at night time.
I can't believe you can't do anything around.
I know. It's not so bad in the daytime, though. Night time, though. Don't know why. Here is completely different. Cues there, look ready to go. This room's interesting though. Look at all the stuff in there. And that fireplace as well, that fireplace is absolutely brilliant.
What the
Later, after watching the video again, Colin saw something unsettling that he had missed at the time. The camera momentarily caught what appeared to be a man's head peering out from an open doorway as he was moving along a hallway. During their exploration, neither he nor Liv had seen anyone, and they never identified the person. All they were doing was observing, still, quiet. Shortly thereafter, the situation erupted once more. A loud, violent bang reverberated from behind a locked door they had just passed as they approached the end of the hallway, a room that was off limits to anyone. They were positive there were no other explorers within, and the door was totally unreachable from their side. It was an unmistakable sound, abrupt, powerful, and all too familiar. Colin would subsequently disclose that it was the same sound emanating from the same location that he had heard on a prior solitary visit to the estate.
Donald Duck. I keep hearing that banging, can you hear that banging? I think it's outside. Oh, it's giving me the shits. I really don't like it in here. Have a look in that room at the end. See. That's what I heard the other day. That's what I heard the other day. That door is locked. There's nothing out there. That is where we've just come from. That is the exact same noise I heard the other day.
Fuck that.
Can you hear that?
At that point, Colin and Liv had seen enough. The strange chain of events, the shifted xylophone mallet, the eerie sounds, the unidentified man silently peeking from a doorway, and the final violent bang from behind a locked door left no doubt in their minds. They weren't alone. Some have speculated the man may have been secretly living inside the mansion. Maybe he played the xylophone to scare them off, watched them quietly when that didn't work, and finally resorted to banging on the locked door as a last attempt to drive them out. His presence had started as subtle, grew bolder with every moment he stayed hidden. Colin and Liv made it out safely, but they never learned who the man was, or how long he'd been in the house before they arrived, or if he ever left. What do you make of this? On December 31, 2025, the Alpine resort of Crans-Montana, Switzerland, snow covered the surrounding mountains, lanterns glowed along narrow streets, and music poured out of crowded bars as visitors gathered to celebrate the final hours of the year. It was the kind of setting people imagine when they picture a perfect New Year's Eve in the Alps. Festive, vibrant, and filled with anticipation. One of the most popular destinations that night was a basement nightclub called La Constellation. Known for its packed dance floor and flashy VIP bottle service, the venue had drawn hundreds of partygoers. Tourists, local residents, and students from across Europe filled the space shoulder to shoulder. The room itself was warm and tight, with low ceilings and little space to move. People laughed, filmed videos on their phones, and danced as music pulsed through the crowded basement. Part of the club's signature atmosphere came from its elaborate champagne presentations. Waitresses moved through the crowd wearing themed masks, carrying bottles topped with sparklers that sprayed bright fountains of light. Tiny fireworks crackled above the bottles as they were raised overhead, creating a spectacle many guests rushed to capture on camera. It felt theatrical, exciting, and almost surreal, the kind of celebration people expect to remember for years. By around 1:30 a.m., the party had reached its peak. Midnight had passed, Cheers had echoed throughout the bar, and the celebration was still in full swing. Then in a matter of seconds, everything changed. One of the champagne sparklers came too close to the ceiling, and a small flame suddenly appeared above the crowd. At first, many people did not understand the danger. Some thought it was part of the show, but the ceiling was lined with acoustic foam used for soundproofing, material that ignites quickly and burns intensely. Once the foam caught fire, flames spread rapidly across the ceiling, moving faster than most people could react. Smoke began filling the room almost immediately. What had been a joyful celebration turned into confusion and fear. Some guests tried throwing drinks or water toward the ceiling, hoping to put out the fire. Others continued filming, stunned by how quickly the situation had escalated. Within moments, however, the heat and smoke became overwhelming, and panic set in. The layout of the basement made escape extremely difficult. The main exit was a single staircase leading up to street level. As hundreds of people rushed toward it at once, the doorway became a deadly bottleneck. People pushed forward desperately, trying to reach fresh air, while smoke dropped lower and visibility worsened. Screams echoed through the space as individuals struggled to move through the crowded exit. Many of those inside were young. In Switzerland, alcohol can be illegally purchased at 16, and the crowd included teenagers and young adults, many of whom had never experienced an emergency of this scale. In the chaos, some were knocked down, while others became trapped near the exit as the crush intensified. Emergency responders arrived quickly after calls flooded in, reporting the fire. By the time firefighters gained control of the situation, the damage was devastating. More than 100 people had been injured, many suffering from smoke inhalation or burns. Tragically, dozens of lives were lost. Victims came from multiple countries, including Switzerland, France, Italy, Serbia, Belgium, Bosnia, Poland, and Portugal. Families later had to provide DNA samples to help identify loved ones. Investigators immediately began examining how such a disaster could have occurred. Attention focused on the flammable ceiling materials, the use of indoor sparklers, crowd capacity limits, and whether emergency exits were adequate and accessible. Witnesses reported that the venue was overcrowded and that alternative exits were either blocked or not clearly usable, factors that likely contributed to the high number of casualties. The tragedy also echoed similar nightclub fires around the world. In many past incidents, from Rhode Island in 2003 to late disasters in Brazil, Romania, and other countries, the pattern had been nearly identical. Pyrotechnics ignited flammable materials, smoke spread rapidly, and limited exits created fatal bottlenecks. What made the Crans-Montana fire especially heartbreaking was how preventable it appeared. Every contributing factor, flammable foam, indoor sparklers, overcrowding, and restricted exits, had long been recognized as serious safety risks. Yet on that winter night, those risks combined in the worst possible way. When daylight arrived, La Constellation was no longer remembered as a place of celebration. Instead, it became a symbol of how quickly joy can turn into tragedy. The fire left families grieving, communities shaken, and survivors carrying memories that would last a lifetime. The events of that night serve as a stark reminder that in crowded environments, safety measures are not optional details but critical protections. Awareness, planning, and proper precautions can mean the difference between a celebration and a catastrophe. For those who were there, the memory of that New Year's Eve will never fade, and for the rest of the world, it stands as a powerful lesson about the importance of vigilance in even the most festive moments. On what began as a quiet morning near Uri Hot Springs, California, a routine disturbance call quickly escalated into a tense and ultimately tragic chain of events. Officer Brady Supplin was first alerted after reports came in about a man causing a serious disruption of the local business. According to witnesses, 38-year-old Luther David Medina had become heavily intoxicated and aggressive inside the establishment. During the incident, he reportedly struck his girlfriend and damaged property before leaving the scene abruptly. Staff members immediately contacted emergency services, explaining that Medina had driven away alone, heading north on nearby roads. Officer Supplin located the vehicle shortly afterward and began following from a safe distance. As he trailed Medina, it became clear the situation was dangerous. The vehicle was swerving erratically, speeding at times and drifting across lanes in a way that posed serious risks to anyone nearby. When Medina exited onto County Road 14, Officer Supplin activated his lights and attempted a traffic stop. Over the radio and through his patrol car speaker, commands were issued repeatedly, urging Medina to pull over safely. Instead of complying, Medina continued driving, appearing increasingly unpredictable. What happened next unfolded in seconds and shocked everyone involved. The body camera footage captured the sound of the impact echoing through the canyon, marking the beginning of a frantic rescue effort. Officers immediately radioed for emergency medical assistance and additional support. From their vantage point above, they could see Medina at the base of the canyon. He had landed near fast-moving icy water, and part of his body appeared submerged. The terrain below was steep, rocky, and extremely hazardous, making a direct approach near impossible without specialized equipment. Mountain rescue teams were quickly dispatched to the scene. They arrived with ropes, harness systems, and winches designed for high-risk extractions. Officers on site moved their vehicles to cleared space and coordinated closely with rescue personnel to determine the safest way to reach Medina. Every decision had to be carefully planned, as the unstable ground and cold water created serious dangers for both the victim and the responders. As the rescue operation began, there were brief signs of hope. Observers noted that Medina showed slight movement in the water, suggesting he was still alive despite the severe fall. Responders relayed updates over the radio, cautiously optimistic that there might still be time to save him. Some noted that the cold water, while dangerous, could potentially slow bleeding and help preserve vital functions temporarily. Using a system of ropes and a winch, rescuers descended into the canyon. They worked methodically to secure Medina while minimizing further injury. Each step required precision, as even a small miscalculation could worsen his condition or place rescuers at risk.
Hi. He's moving.
What's that? It's going to be wet, yeah.
Once he was properly stabilized, the team carefully lifted him from the canyon floor. Medina was immediately transported to a nearby hospital where medical staff began emergency treatment. Despite the coordinated rescue and the efforts of paramedics and doctors, his injuries proved too severe. He was later pronounced dead, bringing a tragic end to the incident. In the aftermath, the event sparked widespread discussion and criticism online. Some questioned whether the situation could have been prevented or handled differently. The district attorney's office conducted a formal review of the pursuit and rescue, ultimately concluding that officers followed established policies and acted appropriately given the circumstances. Their actions were deemed professional and consistent with training protocols. Medina's family, however, expressed deep grief and frustration, maintaining that they believe the tragedy might have been avoidable. Their perspective added another layer of complexity to an already painful situation. For many viewers, the footage serves as a sobering reminder of how quickly events can escalate during emergency responses. It highlights difficult, split-second decisions officers must make while trying to protect both the public and those involved. The incident also underscores the risks associated with impaired driving and the unpredictable outcomes that can result from a single moment of poor judgment. Ultimately, this case reflects the harsh realities faced by first responders. It shows the courage required to operate in dangerous conditions, the coordination necessary to attempt life-saving rescues, and the emotional weight that often follows when, despite every effort, tragedy cannot be prevented. When a truck was rounding a curve on January 26, 2025 in Governor Valadares Minas Gerais, Brazil, a car suddenly appeared in the wrong lane and crashed head-on into the semi. The impact caused the truck driver to lose control, veer into the opposite lane, and collide violently with another vehicle. The dashcam in the semi-truck captured the exact moment of the tragic accident, claimed 4 lives. When police questioned the driver of the truck, she admitted that she was distracted, which resulted in the deaths of 4 innocent people. 5 people in the first vehicle suffered only minor injuries, while the 2 occupants of the truck were also hurt but survived. The tragedy occurred instantly, and 3 people in the second car died at the scene. A 4th victim was taken to the hospital but passed away from their injuries. On May 22, 2021, a lioness named Vega attacked Maxim Urov during a performance by the Ural Circus at the House of Culture in the village of Sovitskaya in the Nova region of Russia. The audience's horrified cries were captured on camera as parents hurried to leave with their young ones.
О, боже мой! Вы видели? Офигеть! Ну его нахер, надо уходить отсюда.
The attack happened in an instant. One of the lionesses, Vega, suddenly lunged at trainer Orov, striking him twice in rapid succession. Her claws caused serious injuries to his arms and legs, knocking him to the ground and leaving him unable to defend himself. Witnesses described the moment as shocking, as a routine performance turned into a life-threatening emergency within seconds. Circus staff rushed into the ring immediately. Using long metal rods, they forced Vega back and managed to pull Orov to safety. At the same time, another lioness named Santa became highly agitated, and the two animals began fighting each other, making the situation even more dangerous and chaotic. Orov was given emergency medical care right away and was later confirmed to have survived despite the severity of his injuries. His survival was credited to the fast response from staff and medical teams. Panic quickly spread through the audience. Adults and youngsters ran toward exits in fear, and reports later stated that a pregnant woman suffered an epileptic seizure due to the shock of witnessing the attack. Afterward, Orov said Vega had always been unpredictable and suggested the long break from performances during the pandemic may have contributed to her aggression. Circus officials announced she would no longer perform and were considering relocating her to a zoo, while the incident reignited debate about the safety and ethics of using wild animals in circus shows. On January 28, 2025, a dashcam recorded a terrifying moment in Yashio, located in Japan's Saitama Prefecture. The footage shows a normal intersection with vehicles moving through on a green signal. Then, without any visible warning, the asphalt suddenly gives way. A car narrowly clears the area just seconds before the road collapses completely. Moments later, a truck making a routine left turn drives directly into the newly formed sinkhole, disappearing almost instantly with no time for the driver to react. Officials reported that the collapse did not stop after the initial failure. The sinkhole rapidly expanded, eventually growing to an estimated 40 meters in diameter and roughly 15 meters deep. Rescue teams rushed to the scene, but conditions quickly proved extremely dangerous and unstable. According to authorities, the missing driver is a 74-year-old man who has not been seen since the moment his vehicle fell into the crater. About 3 hours after the collapse, emergency crews attempted to communicate by calling down into the hole. They reportedly heard a faint response, raising hopes that the driver might still be alive. However, the truck's cab was buried beneath layers of mud, debris, and broken pavement, preventing rescuers from confirming his exact location. Investigators believe the incident was likely caused by a ruptured underground sewer pipe measuring approximately 4 to 5 meters in diameter. Aerial footage confirms the traffic signal had shown a green turn arrow, meaning the collapse occurred with no warning signs. Days later, rescue operations remain ongoing, but shifting ground and unstable conditions continue to make recovery efforts extremely difficult. You won't believe this insane footage. This was in Brazil's southern Minas, and a helicopter was crashed by this individual. There's more though. The chopper was stolen by the 33-year-old man. He tried. He overheated the engine though, because he examined it incorrectly. Then as he tried to take off, he crashed. Security cameras caught him running from the scene, but the military police later arrested him. He claimed to love flying and to have an expired pilot's license. Multiple cameras recorded the crash on January 31, 2025 in a residential neighborhood of Philadelphia on the US East Coast, resulting in a terrible explosion. The footage showed the impact from various perspectives and the panicked reactions of the locals. According to local authorities, 6 people were on board the aircraft at the time of the crash. The impact was devastating. After going down, the plane struck several parked vehicles in the surrounding neighborhood, turning what began as an aviation emergency into a widespread disaster on the ground.
Akbar! Allahu Akbar! What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? Oh my God! Oh my God! La ilaha illallah!
Tragically, everyone inside the aircraft lost their lives. The destruction did not stop there. One person on the ground was also killed when debris and fire spread through the area. In addition, at least 19 others were injured as flames and wreckage affected nearby homes. Several houses caught fire following the crash, forcing emergency crews into a race against time to rescue residents and prevent the blaze from spreading further. The aircraft involved was an Airjet 55, operated by Jet Rescue Air Ambulance, a company that specializes in medical transport flights. Officials confirmed the plane's intended destination was Tijuana, Mexico, with a planned stop in Springfield, Missouri. However, the journey never truly began. The aircraft had only been airborne for about 30 seconds after taking off from the northeast Philadelphia airport when something went catastrophically wrong. During a press conference, Philadelphia Mayor Sherrell Parker described the situation as a sudden and severe failure, stating clearly that investigators would work to determine exactly what caused the crash. The tragedy came at an especially painful time. It occurred just 2 days after another deadly aviation disaster in Washington, D.C., where an American Airlines jet collided with a military helicopter. That incident killed all 67 people involved, making it the deadliest air disaster in the United States in nearly a quarter century. Together, the two events served as a stark reminder how quickly routine flights can turn into catastrophic loss. Going off-road is fun for many, but doing it without a seatbelt? Unwise. Here's why. Please always wear a seatbelt, people. The man who fell out is extremely lucky he wasn't crushed. No casualties in this situation. In this video, we see the investigation of a mother accused of leaving her 3 youngsters at a luxury hotel during a bridesmaid event. Police arrived at the scene after witnesses reported a violent disturbance and claimed the woman was extremely intoxicated. Initially, a friend explained that the youngsters' father had dropped them off unexpectedly, leading to a heated argument and the mother's attempt to flee the scene.
So our friend, bridesmaid, her boyfriend rolled up with her 3 kids that weren't invited, and he threw the kids at her. And she's drunk, can't drive. He's a drug dealer. She's drunk, and we don't want the kids to go home with them. So that's what's happening.
The footage shows the mother being confronted while sitting in her vehicle. She refused to provide her identification or social security number, leading to an immediate warning about obstruction charges. I feel terrible for the youngsters who were left in such a chaotic situation without a proper guardian. It is frightening to think that a mother would choose to drive under the influence while her children were in need.
We got a call about a concern about the condition that you're in, that you left your children here. Some people called in and said you were extremely intoxicated and drove away. So my name's Officer McGillicuddy, okay? So I'm just here to talk to you about what's going on tonight. So can you tell me what's going on with the kids?
No.
What's that?
No.
Step out of the car. All right, how much have you had to drink tonight? Step to the front of the car. Do you have your ID on you? No. Do you have a driver's license? Nope. You don't have a driver's license at all? Will you run the tag for me, Riley?
I did already. It comes back to some guy.
All right, what's your social?
Some guy. This is my car.
What's your...
Answer his questions.
What's your social?
You don't have to be mean to me. I own this car.
What's your social?
No. Find out.
If you don't identify who you are, you're going to go to jail for obstruction. Okay? What? Are you McGill?
See, you already know I am.
Okay, but I ran you in the driver's license this night, and I can't find you.
I am. I'm not playing the game.
Okay, so here's the thing. You have to identify. Shut your mouth until I ask you a question. You have to identify.
You're taking this call?
Yeah. I'm taking this part. I don't know about the children thing, but you need to identify to me who you are right now. Because here's the thing. Here's the situation you're in.
No.
You just left your children at a hotel without a guardian. So that can be considered child neglect. Ma'am, I don't think you understand the gravity of the situation.
I do.
Okay?
I really
What
do.
is your social security number?
No.
How much do you have to drink tonight?
Nope. Nothing.
You had nothing to
Sober.
drink? You reek like alcohol.
I probably do.
You're unsteady on your feet. You have red, glassy, bloodshot eyes.
Been in the same
You have a strong odor of alcohol coming off your person. Okay, so I'm conducting a DUI investigation right now.
Go ahead.
Okay, so what is your name? Hey, no, it's not for me to find out. It's for you to tell me. Because here's the deal. If you don't tell me who you are, you're going to get charged with criminal obstruction. That's what's going on.
No, I'm just mad.
You know who this is?
I've never seen that dude in my life.
No, but if you needed a lawyer.
Okay. Go away,
have a nice night.
I'm so kidding. You're not even funny.
During the interaction, the officer noted a strong odor of alcohol, bloodshot eyes, and an unsteady gait. When the woman refused to participate in field sobriety tests, she was placed under arrest for DUI, obstruction, and 3 counts of felony child neglect.
Hey, ma'am, so here's the thing. You are displaying many indicators of possible impairment. I'm conducting a DUI investigation. Are you willing to do some field sobriety exercises? No. All right, refusal to do the DUI exercises as I've lawfully requested will force me to make a DUI arrest decision based on the totality of the circumstances and everything I've observed up to this point. And your refusal to participate in the exercises will force me to make a DUI arrest decision right now and can be used against you in a court of law.
All right.
Or will you do the exercises?
No.
Turn around. Under arrest for DUI and obstruction and child neglect.
Is there anybody here for your children?
Can I make a phone call?
No.
Not right now.
Yeah, she reeks.
Yeah, she does.
She had a lot to drink. Chad, 25, can you start me a female unit for a search? Let's go ahead and have her, let's go to the front of my car while I try to figure out who she is.
Yep.
Come on.
Why you gotta be a dick, dude?
Shut up. Come on.
Talk to me like that. Carrie, fuck you, bro. You gonna take care of my kids?
Face my car. So, you're not taking care of
You
your
gonna take care of my kids, bro?
You're not taking care of your kids.
You gonna take care of my kids, bro?
What kind of mother are you? You leave your kids.
I was.
What kind of mother are you? You leave your kids here. Bad mother, I guess. Because I'm a parent and I would never leave my kids drunk at a hotel with people I don't know. Do you even know who your kids are with right now?
Don't touch me, bro.
Don't jerk away from me.
The situation escalated when the mother began to jerk away from the officers, forcing them to use a quick motion to secure her.
Listen to me. Listen to me. This is about to go. I know. Stop it. Stop it.
Relax.
I don't want to hurt you, but you're about to get there. Stop it. Sit. Yeah. Well, we need to, right now we need to find like a parent or a guardian. My understanding is that there was a male involved here.
Correct. He left on foot.
Is he the dad?
No. Threw the kids at her. Left. They were fighting in the parking lot. She was trying to take the kids. I wasn't having it. This is not okay. This has happened multiple times. She was clean for a very long time and then started using heroin with this gentleman. Yeah.
You think she's seen her tonight?
No, absolutely not.
And she just seems really drunk.
Yeah, she's drunk.
If you guys could just back up a little bit for us.
Of course.
Relax. Spread your feet for me, please.
You're making this worse.
Please spread your feet for me, please.
Don't touch me, dude.
Don't kick. Spread your feet. Stop it.
Stop it.
Spread your feet for me, please, Mickey.
Spread your feet.
There's nothing on me. Yo, somebody better tear me out of jail.
Ma'am, you're in no condition to drive your
Yeah, I know. I came back to get my kids. Yo, if somebody doesn't fucking bail me out, I'm gonna be really fucking pissed off.
Behind the back of the patrol car, she began banging her head against the cage, resulting in a visible cut on her eye.
You will be.
My driving.
You'll be committing a misdemeanor.
Dude, this
refusal to submit to the test requested of you is admissible into evidence in any criminal proceeding. Will you take a breath test? Okay, refusal.
Did you take this shit off of me? It hurt.
No, so right now you're under arrest for felony child neglect. Felony child neglect for leaving your children here.
Dude, they're with my friends.
Who are they with?
Are you my best friends of 20 years?
Can you mark the current time as a breath refusal?
I'm getting arrested for child neglect with my friends over 20 years?
Always have a sober plan for your youngsters if you're attending an event where alcohol is served. How would you react if you saw a parent leaving their youngsters alone at a hotel while intoxicated? Do you think a 1-year probation sentence is enough for a case involving child neglect and DUI? A swift intervention by the hotel staff likely kept those youngsters safe from further harm. Out of nowhere, a dangling wire that was fastened to a huge bridge pillar gave way. The only thing a worker could have done at the precise moment was to stand there and hang on to it. A ladder also fell from the height, just missing them, which made the situation worse. This incident unfolded in Memphis, Tennessee on the evening of July 7th, 2024 at roughly 9:30 p.m. The setting was the 5900 block of East Shelby Drive, an ordinary convenience store in what appeared to be a quiet area. To anyone passing by, it would have looked like just another routine stop, but within minutes, that normal scene would turn into something far more dangerous. The victim had entered the store simply to buy a snack and a drink, expecting nothing unusual. Inside, everything followed the familiar rhythm of a typical late-night errand. Outside, however, a completely different situation was quietly developing. Security footage shows the suspects already in position. Their behavior stands out immediately. Not frantic, not sloppy, but controlled and deliberate. They move with a calmness that suggests planning and experience. Every step appears calculated. They monitor the victim through the store windows, carefully watching his actions as he prepares his purchase and approaches the counter. Meanwhile, the person behind the wheel of the getaway vehicle remains inside the car, maintaining a casual appearance. At one point, he's even seen eating, blending into the surroundings while still keeping track of the situation. Nearby, the individual who would carry out the robbery methodically prepares. A hood is pulled into place. The surroundings are checked. Eyes scan the street for witnesses or unexpected obstacles. When the lookout signals that the victim is about to leave the store, the operation shifts instantly into motion. The armed suspect steps out and moves toward the parking lot, keeping the firearm concealed as long as possible. At the same time, the lookout transitions into the driver's seat, ensuring a quick escape once the robbery is complete. The coordination is precise, unfolding almost like a rehearsed sequence. Everything changes the moment the victim exits the store. As he approaches his vehicle, he quickly notices the hooded figure closing in with a weapon. In an instant, what began as a normal evening becomes a life-threatening encounter. Yet instead of panicking, the victim reacts with remarkable composure. His movements are subtle but intentional. He steps back slightly, positioning himself carefully while remaining calm. His body angle shifts in a way that keeps a possible escape route open while also maintaining awareness of the threat. Every action suggests he is thinking several steps ahead. When the suspect reaches forward and grabs the victim's phone, a brief moment of distraction occurs. That single second becomes critical. The victim immediately takes advantage of the opportunity. With precise timing, he draws his own firearm. The shift in control is instant. The suspect recognizes the change and quickly reacts, turning his focus entirely toward the new threat. What follows is a rapid exchange of gunfire. Reports indicate that the victim fired first, discharging several rounds, while the suspect responded with a much larger number of shots. Despite the intensity of the confrontation, the outcome is surprisingly limited in terms of physical harm. Some accounts mention a minor injury, but no life-threatening wounds were reported. The entire encounter lasts only moments, yet every second carries immense weight. The tension, the decision-making, and the speed at which the situation evolves highlight just how thin the line can be between safety and disaster. What makes this footage especially striking is not only the danger itself, but the victim's ability to remain composed under extreme pressure. His awareness, timing, and controlled reactions ultimately prevented a far worse outcome. The incident serves as a powerful reminder that serious threats can emerge in the most ordinary settings. It also demonstrates how calm thinking, situational awareness, and decisive action can dramatically change the course of a dangerous encounter. In the end, what could have become a tragic event instead stands as a real-world example of survival through focus, preparation, and split-second judgment. What transpires here is baffling. Hitting the gas instead of the brakes is a common mistake I'll never understand. Please be careful, everyone. There is a serious safety concern when you destroy the earth beneath your feet. This man believed that the concrete floor was still sturdy enough to walk on, but the support had already been demolished by his final sledgehammer stroke. He discovered the hard way that working from a stable platform is always preferable.
That's it, please! Please! Hands up now! Hands up now! Hands up! Get your hands up! Got it! Got it!
On the morning of January 28, 2026, a quiet apartment complex in Knoxville became the center of a tense and rapidly unfolding police operation. Special crime detectives with the Knoxville Police Department had been tracking credible information connected to a missing and endangered 15-year-old girl. Investigators believed she was being kept inside an apartment at the North Park Apartments on Tillery Road by a 46-year-old man named Angel Melendez, who was not related to her. The situation had already raised alarm statewide. Just one day earlier, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation had issued an endangered child alert for the girl after she was reported missing. As detectives dug deeper, they developed enough evidence to pursue criminal charges against Melendez. Warrants had been filed accusing him of concealing and harboring a runaway child, contributing to the delinquency of a minor, and theft of a firearm. With the risk level rising, police prepared to move in carefully and recover the teen safely. At approximately 10:25 a.m., members of KPD Special Operations Squad arrived at the apartment. Their objective was clear: take Melendez into custody and bring the missing girl out unharmed. Officers approached the unit and knocked loudly, announcing their presence again and again. They remained at the door for an extended period, giving every opportunity for a peaceful surrender. When no safe resolution came from outside, they were granted consent by the property owner to enter. Inside, the atmosphere was tight and uncertain. Officers moved through the apartment with caution, clearing rooms one by one. In a small bedroom, they located both Melendez and the missing teen. What happened next unfolded in seconds. According to investigators, when confronted by the entry team, Melendez reached for a handgun and raised it toward the officers. Faced with an immediate armed threat at close range, two special operations survivors, Lieutenant Sean Shreve and Sergeant Chris Hutton, opened fire. Multiple shots were fired. Melendez was struck and went down inside the bedroom. He was pronounced dead at the scene.
Angel! Police Department!
So you want to go on that?
That's up, please! Police Department! Police Department! Hands up now! Hands up! Hands up! Hands up! Hands up! Hands up! Hands up! Drop it! Get her out! Get her out! I got it! Bravo 1. Bravo 1.
But the danger did not end there. Only moments after the shooting, as officers were still processing the sudden burst of violence, the missing juvenile allegedly grabbed a large knife and swung it at one of the officers nearby. Officer Terry Crow was struck in the head during the attack. Fortunately, he was wearing a protective helmet as part of his tactical gear, and the blow did not cause injury. Officers were able to regain control of the scene before anyone else was hurt. What began as a rescue mission had turned into a split-second deadly encounter, followed immediately by another violent act. Investigators say the rapid escalation is a stark reminder how volatile recovery operations can become, especially when weapons are present and emotions are running high. The girl at the center of the alert was successfully located during the operation, bringing an end to the search that had triggered statewide concern. In the aftermath, multiple agencies began reviewing the sequence of events inside the apartment, including the officer-involved shooting and the assault that followed seconds later. For those involved, the scene was one of sudden chaos packed into less than a minute. A forced entry, an armed confrontation, gunfire in a confined room, and then a knife attack immediately after. A rescue that could have ended quietly instead turned into a deadly and unpredictable clash. Investigations into the incident remain ongoing as of this upload. Uploaded to YouTube on January 26, 2023, this unsettling footage from the channel 401 Files documents a solo winter camping expedition deep inside Dalby Forest in North Yorkshire, a place long surrounded by eerie rumors and unexplained reports. Over the years, the forest has developed a reputation tied to strange lights in the sky, alleged UFO encounters, mysterious animal mutations, and sightings of figures that were never fully identified. It isn't simply another patch of wilderness. To many, it's a location where something feels off the moment you step inside. The host, known for carefully exploring unusual locations and documenting fringe phenomena, chose Dalby Forest deliberately. This wasn't just about camping in harsh winter conditions. It was about confronting the unsettling history attached to the land itself.
Brought you back today to a place that we have explored before. This was last year, and it's a place that has dogman sightings, creepy stories and evidence, cases of human mutilation, animal mutilation, UFOs and extraterrestrials, and everything in between. This is Dalby Forest, a large forested area situated on the east coast of Britain, and we're going to spend the night here tonight and explore.
The forest's isolation, combined with decades of strange accounts, made it an ideal setting for an experiment in both endurance and observation. From the beginning, the environment proved brutal. Temperatures had plunged well below freezing, and even simple tasks became difficult. Handling cameras, adjusting equipment, and even keeping batteries functional was a constant struggle. Every breath created visible frost in the air. The ground was coated in snow, and the dense trees muffled sound in a way that created an unnatural silence. It wasn't peaceful quiet. It was a kind that makes you feel watched. He wasn't completely alone. His dog, Lily, remained by his side throughout the night, providing some sense of companionship. But even her presence couldn't erase the growing tension that seemed to settle over the campsite as darkness took hold.
Hi guys, I'm not sure how well you can all hear me. I've just come into the woods, sat down, dropped my bag, and got my little lantern set up at the side of me. It's absolutely freezing. The forecast did predict that the temperature would be dropping significantly as the night progresses, but my god, it's extremely cold. I've not even checked how cold it is on my phone right now. I'm trying to preserve the battery as best I can so I can get the filming done and you know, use this as an emergency point of call if I need to. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I won't, but yeah, it is extremely cold. I'm gonna get a hot drink on right now because I need to get something warm inside me as this temperature begins to drop and drop even further. So Lily's got her collar on, her illuminated collar, just for anyone that's interested. The colours tonight is green. Last time we had red, tonight it's green. So if you do see any green lights running through the trees behind me, it's likely to be Lily. Yeah, so far so good. The night came in pretty quick, and I've been stressed, I won't lie, you know, trying to get the tap set up and things with my hands being so cold. I've been really stressed trying to get the ridge line up and peg that thing down because it is quite windy. Hopefully it's not showing too much on the video. I've had to crouch down behind a tree right now just so you guys can hear me. All the recordings before this was just far too windy. You could hardly hear a thing I was saying. But yeah, I've struggled with the tap. I've got that up now. And like I said, I'm just going to get a hot drink on and talk to you guys through the night.
As night fully arrived, the atmosphere shifted. Faint noises began to emerge from the surrounding woods. Subtle movements, occasional rustling, sounds that were too deliberate to ignore, yet too indistinct to identify. The wind only intensified the unease, tugging against the tarp and creating sharp snapping noises overhead. While the host was experienced with remote camping, he openly admitted there was something different about this location, a strange stillness that felt unnatural. Then something even more unsettling appeared. Along the distant tree line, small lights became visible. They flickered faintly, hovered briefly, then vanished. They didn't behave like aircraft. They didn't resemble stars. Their movements were irregular, unpredictable, and difficult to track. At times they seemed to shift position entirely before disappearing behind the trees. The camera managed to capture glimpses, but the extreme cold made sustained filming nearly impossible.
There's some lights over there in the distance. I'm not sure what that is. My initial thought, well, that's Lily, obviously the green one, and she's really close to me, but those two white lights seem really far from the distance. My original thought just then was maybe a road, but they don't seem to be moving. And they're not constant, they keep going on and off, and one of them just got really bright, so I have no idea what that is. Try and zoom in. Seems like there's three now as well, like there's a middle one turning up. I have no idea what that is. It's too far for me to go investigate, and it's definitely not stars. We're looking at ground level here right across the horizon, but it seems too far from the distance for me to go over that way and investigate. In and holding my hands out like this with the camera, I'm struggling because they're so cold. But yeah, I have no idea what that is at this point.
As the hours passed, the feeling of isolation deepened. Beyond the narrow reach of his light source, everything was swallowed by darkness. He couldn't see what might be moving in the forest, only hear occasional disturbances in the distance. The awareness that he was completely alone in such a vast environment became impossible to ignore. During the night, he reflected on the forest's long history of strange reports, including investigations by former police officer Tony Dodd, who later became known for researching unexplained phenomena. Dodd documented cases involving mutilated animals discovered in the area, often described as being arranged with unusual precision. There were also accounts of unknown aerial craft and encounters with figures that witnesses struggled to explain. Whether those stories were exaggerated, misunderstood, or entirely factual, they contributed to a growing sense that Dalby Forest held a reputation unlike ordinary wilderness.
I've said this before, but I'm really going to quickly just throw this in there once more, is that when I'm filming like this, the light on the phone is shining at me, and that's why I'm illuminated. Granted, I've got this little lantern in my hand right as well, this little thing here. But the downside to that is that behind the camera right now, I can't see anything. It's pitch black. And so technically something could be stood only a few meters away from me and I would have no idea. That's a terrifying thought.
What made the experience truly unsettling wasn't a single dramatic event. It was the slow accumulation of small details, the unexplained sounds, the distant lights, the overwhelming darkness just beyond visibility. Each time the camera turned toward the host, everything behind him was completely black. There was no way to know what might be standing just outside the frame.
Up through the tree canopy right now, and I can quite distinctly see the Seven Sisters, the Pleiades constellation. And whenever I'm out and it's a clear night, that is always the constellation that I tend to gravitate to, because in my opinion, that's where they're coming from. You know, there will be many other constellations out there where life forms are leaving and returning day in, day out. No doubt about that. But the one that keeps cropping up, if we go off eyewitness testimonies and abduction claims, is the Pleiades constellation. You know, a lot of these people come back and report that these beings come from around that area. So I always look up at that and just think, that is where they are.
Later in the night, he noticed the Pleiades star cluster shining clearly above the treetops, a formation often linked in folklore to extraterrestrial theories. It became a quiet moment of reflection. It also intensified the sense of mystery surrounding the location. Eventually, exhaustion overcame him, and he drifted into sleep. By morning, nothing had been definitively explained. The lights remained unidentified. The sounds had no clear source. The forest offered no answers. In the end, the experience reinforced a simple but unsettling realization. Some places carry an atmosphere that feels heavier than logic alone can explain. In Dalby Forest, it isn't necessarily a creature, a stranger, or a visible threat that unsettles you most. Sometimes it's simply the overwhelming presence of the forest itself, vast, ancient, silent, and quietly reminding you that you are not truly meant to belong there. Just before dawn, when most neighborhoods are silent and still, a quiet street in Charlotte was about to become the setting for a carefully planned theft. Inside one home, a married couple slept peacefully, completely unaware that a coordinated group was already gathering outside their driveway. Parked there were two vehicles, a Durango RT and a highly sought-after Hellcat Charger wide body. Both were expensive, but it quickly became obvious which one had drawn attention. The Durango remained untouched. Every movement outside centered around the Charger. The first sign of trouble came not from noise, but from technology. A sudden alert from the vehicle monitoring system woke the homeowners. The notification reported unusual vibrations and possible movement near the car. When they checked their security cameras, what they saw was shocking. 8 individuals were positioned around the driveway. One stood near the front entrance, holding an electronic relay device, a tool designed specifically to capture and extend a vehicle key fob signal from inside a home. This method allows thieves to unlock modern vehicles without breaking windows or forcing entry. Instead, it tricks the car into believing its owner is standing nearby. While that individual worked the device, Others moved with precision. 2 approached the Charger directly. Another acted as a lookout toward the street. Nearby, a stolen Charger completed a quick turnaround, positioning itself as a getaway vehicle. A second stolen car idled further down the road, engines running, ready for a rapid escape. Every action suggested experience. The group moved efficiently, as if following a routine they had practiced before. Moments later, the Charger's exterior lights flashed. The signal relay had successfully fooled the vehicle into unlocking. Immediately, 2 of the men entered the car while another remained outside to assist. The operation appeared smooth and controlled, almost cinematic in how quickly it unfolded. But despite their planning, they had overlooked one critical obstacle. The homeowners had already received alerts from their monitoring system, meaning they were fully aware of the situation as it happened. At the same time, the Hellcat was equipped with additional anti-theft protections beyond basic keyless entry. Although the relay device could unlock the doors, it could not override the deeper immobilizer systems required to actually start and drive the vehicle. Inside, the couple watched the tense scene unfold through their cameras, knowing their security measures were actively preventing the theft. Outside, frustration began to replace confidence. The men moved quickly, trying different approaches, but nothing worked. Their plan was failing. After several tense moments, the group abandoned the attempt. One by one, they returned to their waiting vehicles and disappeared into the early morning darkness, leaving the Charger exactly where it had been. The entire incident was captured on security footage, from the precise coordination of the thieves to the moment they realized they could not bypass the layered defenses. What could have been a devastating loss instead became a powerful example of how modern security systems and real-time alerts can stop even highly organized theft attempts. As daylight slowly returned, the neighborhood appeared unchanged. The driveway remained quiet. The Hellcat sat untouched. For the homeowners, the experience served as a lasting reminder. Threats can arrive suddenly and silently, but preparation, awareness, and advanced security technology can turn a carefully planned crime into nothing more than a failed attempt. In the end, it was a tense encounter measured in minutes, one that demonstrated how vigilance and layered protection can make all the difference when danger appears without warning. Thanks for watching. Stay vigilant, friends.